Formed in 1944 under the Women's Army Corps, an extraordinary, all-female, all-black unit was created during the throes of World War II. Their mission was to address the massive backlog of undelivered mail meant for U.S. service members in Europe. They operated under the motto of no mail, no morale, and highlighted the vital role played by maintaining troop morale with correspondence with home. So, join us today while we discuss the real history of the 6888. And if you like stories like this, you'll find more stories like this at onemikehistory.com. But without further ado, let's get started. When the United States entered World War II after the attack of Pearl Harbor, December 7, 1941, women were not officially allowed to join the Army. This would change May 14, 1942, when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed a law creating the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps, which was later renamed the Women's Army Corps. So early in 1945, a trailblazing unit was formed in Birmingham, England, the 6888 Central Postal Directory Battalion. This battalion, made up of roughly 850 African-American women, made history becoming the only all-black, all-female unit to serve overseas during the war. The women aged from 17 to 52 included primarily African-American women, but some of Hispanic and Caribbean descent, and they underwent basic combat and gas mask training at Fort Oglethorpe in Georgia, where they faced racial discrimination. They were subject to segregation, had to use separate water fountains, and endured cruel remarks from male officers. Despite these challenges, they would unite under the leadership of Major Cherry Adams. Major Adams was born December 5th, 1918 in Kittrell, North Carolina. She was one of the first African-American women commissioned into the Women's Army Corps in 1942, and one of thousands of women who signed up. Just 23 years old, on summer vacation, teaching junior high school math and science in Columbia, South Carolina, she received an invitation to apply. The reason she joined was simple. The letter emphasized career and leadership opportunities. She would use those skills to overcome racial and gender barriers, which ended up being the key to the success for the 6888 Battalion's mission. For instance, while in Glasgow, Scotland, February 14, 1945, while making their way to Birmingham, England, they realized that racial segregation had followed them from Europe. The American Red Cross had refused to accommodate Black Auxiliary Corps members and set up a separate facility for them in London. Adams was furious and led a boycott against the organization's facilities. She famously declared that alternate arrangement would be used, and she created their own food hall, hair salon, and refreshment bar. Now, once they were in Europe, they were able to see the daunting task that faced them. There were at least 6 warehouses full of overflowing letters and parcels that had been neglected for 2 to 3 years in England and France. These facilities, often poorly lit and cold, stored bags stacked to the ceiling. Many packages contained spoiled food like cake and fried chicken, attracting mildew and rats. They had to find and sort the mail. The sorters would work under blackout conditions with windows covered with dark paint to keep them hidden from German forces. This led to frequent eye strain amongst the soldiers. The cold winter conditions also led to difficulties. Without heaters in the warehouses, clerks wore ski pants and field jackets to stay warm. So, to boost morale, the group would often travel into the city to go bowling or dancing or dine at local restaurants. Locals would even invite them into their homes for Sunday dinners, offering much needed comfort. This would lead to the battalion going beyond their duties and fostering goodwill and breaking down racial barriers within the communities that they were stationed. In addition to community engagement and social activities, the battalion came up with innovative solutions to manage their overwhelming workloads. They would encounter envelopes with just first names or sometimes nicknames. So the battalion created a system using an index of 7 million cards with serial numbers to identify individuals with similar names. Working tirelessly, 3 8-hour shifts daily, the team was able to process 65,000 pieces of mail per shift. Although initially given 6 months, they were able to clear Birmingham's backlog in just 3 months. After finishing In Birmingham, the 6888 seamlessly transitioned to France in June of 1945, where they faced another daunting backlog that spanned back 3 years. Remarkably, they were able to manage through that backlog in just 5 months. The 6888 did not only battle logistical issues, they also pushed through racial and gender discrimination within the military and the broader society in general. They faced racial bias and prejudice. Some male soldiers resented simply the presence of black women in the military. Many officers, especially white males, were dismissive of their skills, reducing them to just a race and a gender, and were given roles that they felt matched their capabilities. Black women were often regulated to tasks like cooking and cleaning. Moreover, the units were segregated, forced to live and work into separate spaces from other military units. Nevertheless, under the guidance of Major Adams and her leadership, they were able to accomplish their mission effectively, challenge these social norms, demonstrating the strength and capability of black women in the military. Upon returning to the United States in 1946, the 6888 did not receive immediate recognition. Over time, though, their contributions began to be acknowledged. In 2009, they were honored at the Women of the Military Service for America's Memorial in Arlington Cemetery. In 2018, a monument was dedicated to them at Fort Leavenworth. Additionally, in 2019, the Army awarded them the Meritorious Unit Commendation. But their most significant recognition came in 2022, when Congress awarded the 6888 the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian honor in the United States. This was an overdue recognition of their invaluable service during World War II and their role in challenging racial and gender barriers in the United States military. At that time, only 6 members of the 6888 were alive to receive their medals, and as of December of 2024, only 2 members remain. The impact of 6888 during wartime was invaluable. Mail was a lifeline for these soldiers and provided a vital connection to their loved ones and boosted their morale. The swift and accurate mail delivery by the 6888 ensured that soldiers maintained these crucial lines of communication and positively affected their psychological well-being. The 6888 also played a pivotal role in challenging racial stereotypes and social norms during a time when Black people and women faced discriminations and doubts about their ability. The success of the 6888 broke down many of these barriers, demonstrated the capability of Black women in roles traditionally held by men, emphasizing the importance of diversity and inclusion within the military. This success helped pave the way for greater acceptance and integration. Although full integration took decades, units like the 6888 laid the groundwork. Their contributions during World War II put pressure on policymakers and eventually led to President Truman's Executive Order 9988 in 1948, which desegregated the armed forces. The legacy of the 6888 Battalion continues to resonate today, inspiring service members and contributing to the advancement in military diversity and inclusion. Their story is a testament to overcoming adversity and breaking down barriers, and influences modern discussions about inclusivity in the armed forces, as the military now views diversity as a strategic advantage. The pioneering efforts of the 6888 reminds us of the value of diverse perspectives and the importance of equal opportunities for all, regardless of race. Thank you. I'm your host, Country Boy. This has been One Mic History and the real story of the 6888. If you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. Additionally, I'd like to thank all my financial contributors. Without you, none of this could be possible. Peace.